What's up, everybody? In this Baldur's Gate 3 video, I'll be talking about feats you can start to unlock at level 4, which ones I think are the best to take and not good depending on your build and play style, as well as general information about feats. So if you didn't know, you can unlock new feats every 4 levels, essentially getting 3 in a playthrough if you are a single class. Unless you multi-class, then the feats you gain are depend on if you get each class to level 4. So this means at best, when you multi-class with 2 classes, for example, you will only get 2 feats in a playthrough. First up here, we have ability improvement. This allows you to assign 2 ability points into any of your 6 abilities you want. And I think most people will take this for their class's main ability or main 2 abilities to get them even or max out the main ability to 20 ASAP. This is good because characters gain a lot from increasing their ability modifier. Keep in mind, you can get your main ability above 20 with the use of items and equipment. An example of this is if you use Potion of the Giant. If you got a strength build character, such as like Barbarian, that potion allows you to have your strength be at 21 until a long rest. So that's a great example where, like, say your strength is maybe 17, 16 at the time. You use that bumps you up to 21 so you can get more damage output on your strength build class until you long rest. Next up, we got Actor. Your charisma increases by 1 to a maximum of 20. Your proficiency bonus is also doubled for deception and performance checks. I highly recommend setting your charisma ability stat to 17 for any class that uses charisma as their main ability and picking this up to make it to 18 to increase it perfectly. This proficiency bonus will apply even if you don't have proficiency in deception or performance. So this means you're better off not taking proficiency in these 2 skills during character creation because you only gain +2 to them, whereas you gain +4 if you don't have proficiency in them already. Then you have Alert. You gain a +5 bonus to initiative and can't be surprised. This means you are almost always going first in combat and won't be surprised. The thing is, you don't get all that surprised in this game. Like, it doesn't happen a lot. So this could be a wasted feat to take, honestly. Also, any characters playing this way, like rogues or rangers, have a high initiative already, so taking this might be overkill when you don't need it. Athlete, your strength or dexterity increases by 1 to a max of 20. When you are prone, standing up, using significantly less movement. Your jump distance also increases by 50%. So this depends on, like, if you're going for like a strength build or a dexterity build. This is good for like monks or even barbarians, I would say, just off the top of my head, to name a couple examples here. You know, pick this up possibly for them. If you're going like a dex monk or strength barbarian, you know, this could be very good, especially to utilize when you're trying to jump either high or low to an enemy to get closer to them or out of situations. And I see this as being a feat that also, you know, fighters and paladins can use too to increase their overall efficiency in combat, essentially getting enemies quicker to eliminate them. So if you set your strength or dexterity to 17 and took this, it'll be even out perfectly. Then we got Charger. You gain Charger, weapon attack, and Charger shove. So with Charger, weapon attack increases the damage you deal greatly and allows to reach a target you normally could not get to. If you are a melee character that has a hard time getting to enemy targets, this can make up for that. Crossbow Expert. When you make crossbow attacks within melee range, the attack rolls do not have disadvantage. Your piercing shot also inflicts gaping wounds for twice as long. So class feature Crossbow Expert point blank. When you make crossbow attacks within melee range, the attack rolls do not have disadvantage. So that's where it basically explained that part. Wounding essentially gives you the second feature there of this. So the issue with this feat is you should not be close to melee enemies anyway as a ranged attacking class like Ranger. If this keeps happening to you where you keep getting surrounded by enemies, that suggests work on your positioning. Do trial and error with fights and learn from them when you lose and have to reload the save. You also can't wait around to deal more piercing damage to enemy with gaping wounds when you need to kill them as fast as possible. So I don't recommend this one. Defensive Duelist. When attacked while wielding a finesse weapon you're proficient with, you can use a reaction to add your proficiency bonus to your armor class, possibly causing the attack to miss. This is decent because it's used usually on a dual wielding character, like if you're using 2 finesse weapons. Typically, This means your armor class is lower since you are not using a shield. So this will offset that by allowing you to use your reaction to protect you from one attack. It's not a bad pickup, but keep in mind, if you get a ability improvement to help with dexterity, you gain one armor class anyway, which if this is the beginning of the game, then you may want to save getting this until level 8 or 12. It taking ability improvement at level 4 to fully benefit from this feat to take advantage of your armor class. Dual wielder, you can use 2-weapon fighting even if your weapon are not light. And you gain a +1 bonus to armor class while wielding a melee weapon in each hand. You cannot dual wield heavy weapons though. That is the catch here, so keep that in mind. So this is mainly for characters using their strength rather than dex to dual wield. So if you are a strength character wearing heavy armor and dexterity won't give you any extra armor, then this seems to be a good choice. I see this being best for fighter class more so than anything else. Dungeon Delver. You gain advantage on perception checks made to detect hidden objects on a saving throws made to avoid or resist traps. And you gain resistance to damage dealt by traps as well too. This is a really good feat for a character in your party that has high perception, such as your rogue or ranger, maybe even your bard, and giving them advantage just makes the things easier for you. You can use enhanced ability to give them advantage to spot these things to save you a feat as well. I only see this being a must pick up if you don't have a character in your party that can use enhanced ability. Durable. Your constitution increases by 1 to a maximum of 20. You regain full hit points each time you take a short rest, and it's constitution +1, as you see there. So the issue with this feat is most characters will improve their primary ability because having a best defense is a great offense. So it's better to kill your enemies ASAP so they can't attack. I don't think this is worth it unless you are playing on the hardest difficulty and you're struggling, but there could still be better feats even then, or items and gear to protect you and heal you. Elemental Adept. Your spells ignore resistance to damage type of your choice. When you cast spells of that type, you cannot roll a 1. So you got different stuff here. You got Elemental Adept Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, Thunder. These are all the elemental types in the game. Or sorry, damage types. And this is, intriguing because you can bypass resistance on enemies when using a specific damage type. So you could use a light domain cleric and a storm druid, for example, with this feat to help with doing damage to enemies' armor. But in this game, it seems better to focus on debuffing enemies' abilities rather than their armor for more damage output. Next up, we got one of my favorite feats here, Great Weapon Master. When you land a critical hit or kill a target with a melee weapon attack, you can make another weapon attack as a bonus action that turn. And then down here, attacks with heavy melee weapons you are proficient with can deal additional 10 damage at a cost of a -5 attack roll penalty. You can toggle this on and off, keep that in mind. So this is absolutely amazing in my opinion to utilize in combat for melee characters such as fighter, barbarian, etc. who use heavy melee weapons. I've been using this personally on my half-orc fighter in my first co-op playthrough, and it's just incredible. I was testing it out because I was debating whether or not how effective this would actually be, and yes, it is freaking amazing, incredible. You will not be disappointed with picking this feat up. Heavily armored. You gain armor proficiency with heavy armor, and your strength increased by 1 to a maximum of 20. So I don't think this is a very useful feat when you can take ability improvement instead to increase your strength. Plus, considering you have to have medium armor proficiency already, so this would be for ranger or maybe a cleric. But both of these classes have ways to gain heavy armor. There are other and better ways to do this in the game. Heavy Armor Master. Your strength increases by 1 to maximum 20. Incoming damage from non-magical attacks also decrease by 3 while you're wearing heavy armor. This is a great feat to pick up for a fighter or paladin because if you already have your strength at 17, this will make it 18 and just makes you more tanky and adds more survivability in combat by reducing physical damage. You could even try this on a heavy armored ranger or cleric as well if you like. Lightly armored, you gain armor proficiency with light armor, and your strength or dexterity increases by 1 to a maximum of 20. So yeah, you can increase that if you want here, but this is not a great feat because if you are a spellcaster who wants, light armor, you can easily get that from a race you don't really need strength or dex as a spellcaster anyway. Martial classes don't need this either. Lucky, you gain 3 luck points, which you can use to gain advantage on attack rolls, ability checks, or saving throws, or to make an enemy reroll their attack rolls. So this, in my opinion, may be one of the best feats in the game, because it is a reaction where if you miss your attack, the game asks you if you want to use this to gain advantage to try and hit your target. So you're only using this when you miss or fail an ability check or saving throw. Or if an enemy is going to hit you, then you can make them re-roll their attack so you don't fail. You can also do this 3 times before taking a long rest to replenish. This is a really strong feat I recommend to use on one character at least in your party. Mage Slayer, so it allows you, have an advantage on saving throws against spells cast by creatures within 1.5 meters of you with saving throw advantage here. You also have Mage Slayer Attack Caster. You can use a reaction to make an attack against the enemy after it casts a spell within 1.5 meters of you. And then you got Break Concentration. Enemies you hit have disadvantage when making saving throws to maintain their concentration. This is not bad or great due to this being very situational, and I feel this might be better late game. I do not suggest getting this early game at all. These next sets of, when it comes to magic initiates, are like all about the main spellcast types. This is Bard, Cleric, Druid, Sorcerer, Warlock, Wizard, and the gist of it is, even though I'm going to break them down each and what I think about them real quick, they essentially, you can learn cantrips from each or spells from each, basically, if you want, if you're trying to pick it up. So let's start off with Bard here and what I think about it with the Magic Initiative Bard. Reason to take this is maybe you need a support spells on a character like Paladin, Warlock, or Sorcerer for extra healing, etc. This can be good if you like having 2 characters heal instead of just 1. For the Cleric, maybe Wisdom characters will pick this up. Possibly a Ranger or a Druid would need this. Typically with Ranger, you'll be focused on doing physical damage mainly, not throwing spells unless you want to use healing spells with this feat. And then for Druid here, this is not that good considering if you are playing Cleric or Ranger, you can have a lot of these spells already to pick from. I just don't see many players choosing this, honestly. With the Magic Initiate Sorcerer, I could see a Paladin taking this for offensive spells since their main offensive spell is a melee attack, Divine Smite, and I can't see really much other classes picking this up due to the charisma focus of this, but Bard is another good option for this feat. With the Magic Initiate Warlock, this might be the one selected the most out of all the Magic Initiates because you can take Eldritch Blast on Paladin, Sorcerer, or Bard, giving them all a reliable cantrip that deals significant damage. Also, at level 5, it will gain 2 beams regardless if you are a Warlock or not, so this is a very effective feat to take. And with Magic Initiate Wizard, I think the reason to get this is for more cantrips or find familiars. Basically, depend on your class. So if you want that to have a find familiar ability to utilize in your build, go for it. With Martial Adept, you learn 2 maneuvers from the Battle Master subclass and gain a superiority die to fuel them. You regain expended superiority dice after a short or long rest. So with this one, oh man, this is not worth it. When you can only use it once per combat, and if you want to use superior die, then just put 3 levels in the fighter and just take Battle Master. So you have 4 superior die to use with that. Like this is not good. Medium Armor Master. When you wear medium armor, it doesn't impose disadvantage on stealth checks. Bonus to armor class. You can gain from your dexterity modifier also becomes +3 instead of +2. Oh, my bad. I meant to have you guys take a look at that. Sorry. So you read that while I'm talking about the rest of this part. When it comes to this, you will maybe take this on a Bard, Warlock, or Rogue if you did not choose a race like Human, Half-Elf, that gives you light armor proficiency. So just consider that. Mobile. Your movement speed increases and difficult terrain doesn't slow you down when you dash. If you move after making a melee attack, you don't provoke opportunity attacks from your target. With mobile, this is maybe best on a rogue or a caster character because melee characters don't usually run away from enemy units, but a rogue or caster would to keep focusing on ranged attacks or the rogue can move in behind enemies for sneak attacks for higher damage output. Moderately armored. You gain armor proficiency with medium armor and shields, and your strength or dexterity increases by 1 to a maximum of 20. Let's showcase that a bit here. Now, you'll maybe take this on a bard, warlock, or rogue if you did not choose a race like human or half elf that gives you light armor proficiency. Performer. You gain musical instrument proficiency, and your charisma increases by 1 to a maximum of 20. Since bards already have this, I can see this being used more on a paladin, warlock, or sorcerer to use a musical instrument to distract people so another character can get behind them, or lockpick, etc. Polearm Master. When attacking with a glaive, halberd, quarterstaff, or spear, you can use a bonus action to attack with the butt of your weapon. You can also make an opportunity attack when a target comes within range. This is really strong because it allows you to use your opportunity attack more often when you are a melee character, so I suggest picking this up if you want this as part of your build and playstyle. Resilient. You increase an ability by 1 to a maximum of 20 and gain proficiency in that ability saving throws. You got a list here of all the abilities here from the 6. So, Resilient, this is a half of ability improvement, but the ability you choose here, you gain proficiency in, so you want to choose one ability you're not proficient in. Ritual Caster, you learn 2 ritual spells of your choice. This offers spells like Speak with the Dead or Speak with Animals you can use outside of combat as much as you want. This feat is for being more a utility spellcaster. Savage Attacker. When making weapon attacks, you roll your damage die twice and use the highest result. It does not say here, but this only applies to melee attacks. Typically, this rerolls the dice of the weapon you are using only and does not apply any other benefit. One case it does work is when using the Divine Smite attack as a paladin or use any of their smite spells. It will reroll all the damage dice using the highest number of the rolls, which is really good. This may only be good for paladin though. Sentinel. When an enemy within melee range attacks an ally, you can use a reaction to make a weapon attack against that enemy. Target ally must not have the Sentinel feat. You gain advantage on opportunity attacks, and when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, it can no longer move for the rest of its turn. So with this, you can kind of tell here, this is only good for one character in your party. You cannot use this on multiple characters, so keep that in mind. This is situational depending if you have a second melee focused character near you and can really, be strong as it would benefit a melee character. So I do suggest using this if you want to with one melee character, and if you got a second melee character in your party, so you can just take advantage of this. Sharpshooter, your ranged weapon attacks do not receive penalties from high ground rules. Ranged weapon attacks with weapons you are proficient with have a -5 penalty to their attack roll, but deal additional 10 damage. You might use this on a rogue that can gain advantage on their attacks, or a ranger or fighter that can gain archery. But this is very situational, so I suggest you put this on a rogue or ranger primarily focused on ranged attacks. Shield Master. You gain a +2 bonus to dexterity saving throws while wielding a shield. If a spell forces you to make a dexterity saving throw, you can use a reaction to shield yourself and diminish the effect's damage. On a failed saving throw, you only take half damage. On a successful saving throw, you don't take any damage. This is good to pick up if you have a character that you want to take damage from spells and physical attacks that won't die easily. This feat can benefit paladin or fighter since those classes don't have high dexterity if you want to go that route. Skilled. You gain proficiency in 3 skills of your choice. You have a list here you can choose from. This depends on your party composition because if you have an optimal party, you won't even need this. Spell Sniper. You learn a cantrip and the number you need to roll a critical hit. While attacking is reduced by 1, this effect can stack. You won't get as much out of this one since a lot of spells are cast against character abilities and you are not actually rolling. So unless you are using spells that target armor class of enemies, then this is pointless to use. Tavern Brawler. When you make an unarmed attack, use an improvised weapon or throws something, your strength modifier is added twice to damage and attack rolls. So you can, buff up your strength here or constitution for this. This will benefit strength builds those type of characters, mainly barbarians, since they have enraged throw, for example, to use against enemies. Tough, your hit point maximum increases by 2 for every level you have gained. With tough, this is not bad on tank characters or squishy characters with low health, but keep in mind you can take ability improvement instead to put into Constitution, which gains you an added plus to Constitution saving throws and a +1 to your concentration checks if you are a spellcaster. I think that would be better than tough in most cases. Warcaster, you gain advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on a spell. You can also use a reaction to cast Shocking Grasp at a target moving out of melee range. This is a superb feat to utilize on melee characters such as paladins or clerics, since they can be spellcasters that get into the thick of things in combat and use a lot of concentration. Lastly, Weapon Master, you gain proficiency with 4 weapons of your choice, and your strength or dexterity increases by 1 to a maximum 20. Utilize that if you want. You have a long list here to choose from. If you are min-maxing your character, you should be getting your proficiency from your race or class or some form of multi-classing, not from this feat, so I can't recommend using this, honestly. So that wraps up my video on feats. I hope this was helpful for you in choosing the best feats for your class. I know this game has a ton of information to learn and get used to, and I'm trying to break it down in small portions to give you all better understanding. Stay tuned for more Baldur's Gate 3 content, as I have plenty more to bring you that will help you in other areas of this game. As always, thank you for watching.